Hey everybody, welcome back for another Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 video. Today we're going to do a video about Sim Update 11. I just installed the update a couple days ago. I tried to make some videos over the weekend and my audio settings were all jacked up, so after 3 attempts to record a video, I was unsuccessful. So since then I've figured out my audio settings and let's give it a go here. So I installed Sim Update 11. I have found that it's the most smoothly running version of the simulator to date. So for the first time since I've had the simulator, I was able to put my graphic settings into Ultra. So the only caveat there is I go to Ultra and then drop the terrain level of detail and objects level of detail down to 100. So with doing that, what I'm finding is on the ground I'm able to get just about 30 FPS. I do have DLSS enabled, and up at altitude I'm able to get over 30 FPS. So those are set frame rates that I'm perfectly happy with. It's been a goal of mine since the start of this simulator to be able to, or since I built the PC and started running the simulator, it's been a goal of mine to be able to run this rig on ultra graphic settings, and it's been kind of disappointing to date that I haven't been able to. That said, I know I'm asking a lot from this PC. I'm running 5 monitors total, the 3 scenery monitors plus the 2 touchscreen monitors, so I know it's a heavy load. So I wasn't necessarily surprised to find that I wasn't able to run ultra graphics. But with this latest version, Sim Update 11, I'm finding that I finally am able to push the graphics to ultra, which is a pretty serious victory in my book. So I'm very happy with it. So here's 1,000 feet pattern altitude. We see that we're still right around 30 frames per second. And for Ultra, that's just awesome. Coming up on 1,500 feet here. So in terms of smoothness, I'm finding it's nice and smooth, even though my frame rates are below 30. Another thing that I'm finding is this is the most stable version, instead of in terms of it not crashing to the desktop. Throughout all the videos that I recorded the other day, not one time did I have a crash to the desktop, which was always an issue for me. Especially since I started running DirectX 12, which when I started running DirectX 12, I found that with all the background tasks that I have running, it did a better job maintaining a higher frame rate. Problem was I was having crashes to the desktop every once in a while, so performance for DirectX 12 for my simulator seemed to be better, but stability was worse. So the fact that now the stability is there. Like I said, this is it's just been the best version of the simulator I've seen to date, so very happy with it.
500.
And the fact that I'm able to run the graphics at Ultra. So right now we're at John Wayne in the LAX area. So this is a fairly heavy graphics area in terms of stuff to be rendered. So if I'm able to run here, I'm able to run just about most places. And of course, coming into land is where you see frame rates droop to about their lowest. So right there, we're still above 20, 23 I think was about the lowest I saw, which I'm perfectly happy with that. Oh, full throttle, get rid of the flaps. Trim for climb. Looking for 75 knots on climb out. So we're going to climb up to altitude. We'll climb up to about 3,000 feet or so, and we'll see what the frame rates are doing up at altitude. So while we got to climb in, I'll talk about what else I've been doing. Since I booted up the simulator, having not flown it in a little while, once I installed the update and saw how well it was running, I figured I'd hit YouTube and figure out what changed and why it's running so well. And in the process, I was checking out what else, and the short answer there is I saw that they fixed a memory leak in DirectX 12, which solved the crashing to desktop issue. But in the process of seeing what else was changed in some update 11, of course, we all knew helicopters were on their way. So those of you who don't know, in my previous life, 3 years ago, actually, I gave up flying with the Army National Guard. I was a medevac helicopter pilot. So the fact that helicopters are now coming to the simulator, that's something I'm pretty excited about, because it's been 3 years since I've flown a helicopter, and even though I'm in a flying club that flies an airplane, helicopters are a little outside of my budget in terms of flying for a hobby. So the fact that I'll be able to fly a helicopter in the simulator is just a nice perk. Because helicopters are certainly fun. The fine motor skill that it takes to hover a helicopter, it's just a challenging thing, and it's fun. So I'll be excited to do that again in the simulator. So that said, I went and found somebody who 3D prints a collective stick that slides over the Logitech throttle quadrant throttle lever. So I purchased one of those. That was a $25 item. So pretty budget friendly way of having a collective control. So one of the reasons I haven't flown helicopters in the simulator so far, even though sure we just now got native helicopter support with Sim Update 11, but I know there's been helicopters on the sim for quite a while still. The reason I haven't flown them yet is because I hadn't figured out a collective control mechanism, and to me, I didn't want the unrealisticness of hopping on the flight simulator with just a regular throttle for a helicopter. I wanted a collective control. So because of that, I figured until I figure out a true realistic collective lever, I'm not going to fly helicopters. So now that I got an implementation in the works there, I figured we'll get the helicopters going on the simulator. So that's work in progress. Actually, tonight I'm planning on doing a little project. I made up a prototype of that collective lever until the one from eBay gets here, the 3D printed one. So I'm going to do a flight later on today, and I'll post another video of it with my prototype collective lever, and we'll see how that goes. And so one more thing, since I knew I was going to be flying helicopters, so let's just take a peek at frame rates now. We're seeing that we're up above 30 up here at altitude, which is exactly what I was looking for. It turned back towards the airport. So it might be a little stuttery still. These clouds are probably pretty heavy. So for the hell of it, we can drop the graphics back down to high and see how that affects things. Yeah, so now we're in the upper 30s. So that's tough. I might have to figure that out still. Is it worth flying on Ultra to have that? Because as soon as I go up to high and frame rates go up, now all of a sudden it's nice and smooth. No stuttering. It seems like you start to perceive those stutters as soon as frame rates start getting below 30. So anyways, I figured since I'm going to be flying helicopters, I wanted a more realistic feeling cyclic stick, so center stick for helicopters. The Thrustmaster T1000 or T1600, whatever it's called, the Hall effect sensor one. As much as I like that stick, I wish my microphone here would stay facing my mouth. So as much as I like that stick, it's a little heavy, the spring tension. Let's make sure we're going. No, I'm violating my VFR rules here. Cloud clearances. Yeah, so those spring forces are a little heavy for both an airplane and especially for a helicopter. With a helicopter, you really want to be able to use your fingers on the stick. So I felt that the spring force was just a little heavy there. So I did some looking around on YouTube, on the internet, and I did find that there's some people that have figured out a mod for that stick, where you open the stick up, and there's a big spring there that gives you your spring force, and they use zip ties between two of the coils of the spring to compress those coils, and by doing so, it reduces the amount of spring tension on the stick. So I did that this afternoon as well as a short project, and we're testing that out with this flight. So with all of the modifications that I've done to my controls, I think we're just about ready to start flying the helicopters in the sim. The next step is to configure my touchscreen panels so that I can have some touchscreen capability with some of the helicopters and make sure that the panel is displayed properly and looks like what I'm seeing in the specific helicopter I'm going to be flying. I'm going to be flying the Gimbal G2 because it has what looks like a G3X on the inside of it. So I'm going to work on those panels in Air Manager next, and once I have those put together, we'll go for a flight, and I'll put a video up on the experience. So that's what I've been doing. I dove down the rabbit hole by booting up the flight simulator this weekend and ended up getting sucked in, but now we're gonna have helicopters on the channel, so that's good. So I had somebody reach out and with a comment on one of my videos just recently, and he asked what I would recommend for hardware for Microsoft Flight Simulator. They were looking to build a simulator similar to this. Stop. Did I lose my brakes? Doesn't seem like the brakes are working. Well, that's interesting. Hey there. My buttons changed on me. So yeah, so he commented and he said, what do you recommend for hardware? And my response to him was essentially, whatever your budget will allow, that's what you should spend for hardware. Go right up until what you're willing to spend, because the simulator needs everything you can throw at it. If you're running 5 screens like this, you know, even with an RTX 3080 and a Ryzen 9 5900X like what I have, you're still on high settings, you know, below 30 frames on the ground and 35 up in the air. Part of that too is all of the background tasks I have running, but I still think you're going to be in that ballpark. And when I say background tasks, I'm talking about all the stuff that I'm running in the background to record these videos. So I got multiple cameras running. I got the Let's View screen share app on my phone, which is how you're able to see my movie map up in the top corner. We got Air Manager going, so with all that stuff running, you know, I'm sure that takes a little bit of a hit on my frame rate. So yeah, my response to him was, you probably want more than a 3080 if you want frame rates higher than that. And what I'm finding now with Sim Update 11 is that might not necessarily be the case. Like I said, this is the first version of the simulator where I finally feel like I'm able to run things and get 30 frames per second pretty consistently. So yeah, so that's my answer. If I were to build a PC today, I would probably go for a 4080. But since I already got a 3080, I'm not about to be dropping the extra money to upgrade. So that's where I'm at. So I hope this is helpful for you guys, and I will see you on the next one. See ya.